Estamos de vuelta para esta segunda jornada de Epic Win 2025, la cumbre del gaming internacional que se hace acá en Chile, específicamente en Movistar GameClub. Estamos en vivo desde el canal de Twitch de Movistar GameClub y vamos a cerrar esta jornada con el último panel. Un panel que está compuesto por distintos exponentes de la industria de los videojuegos. En este panel está Yves Bordeleau, José Rojas, Kübler, Julio Marambio y moderado por Mathias Fernández, CEO de GameClub Studios, y le damos un fuerte aplauso para comenzar.
Hello, you guys. Thank you again for being here. We're super happy. It's been a very long day, and we have listening and all the incredible stories about studios in Chile. Now we have Julio, we have José, hey Max, Yves. Thank you for all the discussion that everybody have heard in a few minutes ago. And now we'll have an open discussion. So everybody in the audience, it's free to jump in. If you have any questions, please go ahead. Don't hesitate and go forward. And we'll discuss a few things to make more questions and know and learn about these cool guys that are, developing big companies, small companies, and everything that get creativity and makes the best video games in the world. So the first questions to anybody of you, and it's very open, but probably it's challenging to know what is happening in the industry. So what do you think is the biggest challenge facing the video game industry in the world?
Okay, I will take it. I might say, first of all, is discoverability. So how to make your game stand out. That's the biggest problem. Because with the reach that we have right now with Steam, for instance, the big platforms, there's literally thousands and thousands of games coming out every month. And it's a challenge to, navigate through that. And I think the industry is right now facing that type of crisis where it's very hard to make money with your game because you are just under a pile of other games and, it's almost infinite. So that's the biggest challenge. I think this is it's even bigger than finding money to making your game. Finding money, there are ways, but reaching out to the public, to your right audience, it's a big challenge. And I think that's my take. I think that's the biggest challenge.
I think that in terms of finance, when you have a good idea, money always you have. So then is go to market probably is the biggest challenge.
It is.
And probably is from your perspective, but you guys here from Chile and José, do you have something to say about it?
Yeah, for sure. Mostly, as you said, a good idea is not equal money. I think it's because you have to go for the execution, Because you can, all people can have ideas, but the execution is really important in the industry. Because, to do some prototype, mostly all the publishers, at least if they know you, really well, they are going to finance you. But if you are, not knowing about everyone, you have to make your own name on the industry. And that's the tricky part. It's really, really tough.
I think that probably in the entrepreneurial point of view, if you have a good idea or business plan with a good team and you make how the numbers will work, probably you will have the finance, but it's not a logical plus and go through.
Yeah, that's it.
And you, Julio?
Yeah, I agree with the general overview on the challenges that we're facing. I tend to be more, sometimes, more optimistic in a way that I see some opportunities. For example, we see that the industry, especially in AAA titles, they are having a bad time for the last 2, 3, 4 years maybe. We've seen some the trends and the growth of consumption going back to the levels in which we were, or the level of growth we had before the pandemic. So it's been a tough hit for these huge titles that grew probably excessively. And my take on that is that I see some space for opportunities for medium-sized to smaller titles. Even I think we might see some changes in the AAA industry as well in terms
Totally.
of how we're going to handle the risk, because even for these big titles, it's being hard to be profitable.
I can add on that. I'm in Montreal, same city where Assassin's Creed is being made. Like the latest one, Assassin's Shadows. It's a game that costs like $400 million. Like, I don't know if it's exactly that, but it's huge. It's enormous. And like you said, like, how do you make profit? How do you recoup that? This is so big. So I think, yes, there will be a shift in the industry. Even the big AAA will try maybe to optimize their costs, do different type of games. And I might add that this problem is hindering creativity because you go on the safe side. You will, like as a big company, you will do sequels and sequels, just because
and
it's
remakes.
safe. And remakes. That's why you see a lot of remakes and a lot of sequels, because it de-risks the game in a big way. So, like you said, opportunity for smaller companies to do something original, something different, and people are looking for that. I think the biggest success that we had this year is Expedition 33, Clair Obscur. It's a small French studio, and they've done an incredible job doing something that was catering a very specific need. People wanted that, and I think it's the way to go. And I'm not the only one thinking about that. Like, if I look at Nakon's portfolio, we're also looking at like smaller, like more focused games. And even Epic, EGS, Epic Game Store, like I was with these guys at Gamescom last week, and they are all about, projects that are in a very specific range in terms of budget. Exceeding like 60 million or something, they don't touch that basically. So it's very interesting to see where we can take the spotlight.
Yeah, I would try to mention also that I had a really great Gamescom last week. The whole mood was more positive than negative than last year. I believe that it could be that the purge is over, or it's about to being over this year. And the restructure of the major companies has been done already. So they're now focusing on looking what could be the next big thing in terms of this AA, AAA type of titles.
And a couple of you guys said about originality, origin, how to innovate or create something new. But do you think it's still in the industry space for new genders?
That's a tough
really
question.
tough one.
What's new? It's everything. It's in the mixer, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Nowadays it's the same with music. Suddenly you have that metal that combines jazz, and for video games it's the same thing. You can grab a fighting game with some cool like beat 'em up mechanics instead of having a plain old fighting games with old mechanics. For me, it's about having the whole unique experience of the mood of what you're creating, and then making the gameplay experience a cool experience also. Both things are also really tough to achieve, but we are moving in that area, exploring and keep pushing, the boundaries.
I think it's very similar to the evolution of languages, because video games, the same as film, is just another language. So I think it is related to the progress of an advancement of the new technologies. New technologies introduce new ways of interaction, and in that sense, we might be able to see something that we do not foresee at this moment. I cannot discard that possibility. But over the years, video games as a language, as a communication device, I would say today is like very well developed. There are some communication devices, some a certain semantic of the video game that is already established. And it's already, like Max said, it's just about mixing, combining. It's like cooking with the same ingredients, but creating new dishes.
Absolutely, and I will quote Bruce Lee on that. When you create a new martial art, like for him it was Jeet Kune Do, like he said, you will take the best of like karate, for instance, and you will remove what you don't think fits with your philosophy, and you make it your own. You know, it's a mix. It's like cuisine. It's really something that you don't really invent. You don't materialize something out of nowhere. You need some roots. You need some inspiration.
And you mentioned something that I also leave, because when I was in Riot almost 10 years ago, there was the early stage of Valorant. And so in that moment, when all the creativity team was saying this, we want to create something like Counter-Strike with a League of Legends in point of view, so how we can add abilities. They don't know how to do it. And we tried so many things. We tried some demos in that moment, and now we have one of the awesome games. But they're not. This probably a new genre, but just taking a few things of other games to make that happen. So the next questions that I wanted to show is that which areas of a video game, like design, development, art, production, marketing, are the less visible, and probably are the toughest time that are back in the no one is not that fancy, but are critical in the developing of the game.
I would say the marketing phase, how to reach your proper audience, it's really tough because we're in the kitchen, we're building the things. We're not exactly marketing stuff. So we rely highly on the publisher's effort, on what would be their channels to put the game on their market with their strategy. This is for me a really uncertain knowledge that we don't know actually how to do that.
Oh, it's very often like most developers don't know jack shit about that. They don't know it. They're just like it's magic, it's obscure. Totally. But you learn, like I've learned throughout the years to understand that. I think you need to have a basic understanding to be able to feed the publisher and give them the right direction, and then they do their work. I think that's the way I've been doing it. Yeah.
But publishers today, and considering Steam and all the platforms, Sony, Xbox, publishers that probably are in decreasing, and yet you don't use publisher today, or you still doing publishing in local publishers' offices to promote your game? You still doing that?
Yes.
Big titles
with
does.
Call of Us?
The big titles does.
Yeah.
There is a huge budget around marketing to expose the next big title that it will come out.
It's kind of the double of the development. But the other thing I think, for example, that's difficult as well because as Max said, is we're in the kitchen and we know like we can develop games, but the marketing and the biz dev as well is a kind of tricky stuff because you have to negotiate with people that negotiate every day, and you do like 5 times on a year. So that as a developer is really tough to discuss with a publisher and convince them to invest like on your game from the other 100 games that they saw that day. I think is you have to seek the way how you can like differentiate yourself from all the other people, and as well being people. You are not talking with like a company. You are talking with the people that is like talking with you.
And I can add that building relationship is the key there. It's always about relationship. You need to meet through friends, for instance, specific people at whatever publisher or at Sony or at Microsoft, and build a relationship, and then you will have those bridges, built for you. Otherwise, it's almost impossible. There's so many, like even with, like I'm going to speak about my parent company, about Nikon, like the editorial team at Nikon, they will receive, I don't know, during Gamescom, 1,000 pitch, like so many games. So you really need to have something different, and it's also the networking, I think.
Julio, you want to say something?
Yeah, I want to add to that concerning marketing, it's important to consider marketing not only as a way to promote the game that you're already making, but as a mean to research and validate early on what you are supposed to be making. Because I think that it is, as Yves said, relationships are really, really important. But even with that, if you do not have something that really floats, like that makes sense business-wise in the commercial sense, I mean, it all comes to that. You have to come up with a game concept idea, prototype that looks good, feels good, but also that you have some research backing your design decisions.
It must make business sense.
Exactly.
That's the thing.
And okay, you mentioned recently about biz dev that is connected with marketing, and I have two questions. One that it's blow my mind a little bit, and about Yves that mentioned that Hello Us will be $49.9, and instead of probably most of the 2A games are $69 or even $59. So it's a strategical point of view that you will be cheaper rather than probably all the 2A games, and that in the mindset of the people can have different side. Oh, nice, it's cheaper, I can bought it. Or, wow, this is a not that good game because it's cheaper. So how you handle that, and how was the decision making to place a game cheaper than probably the most of the market?
Okay, so I honestly, there's not a really big science behind this, but the perception versus the value. It's always this. And I think, like, if you're doing a very small indie title, there's a range that is acceptable. You cannot go over like a specific price range, I think. In the AA++ type of market, I'm right there. So like, you don't want to be as high as a AAA, but you cannot go too low because people will say, oh, it's just a small game or what. So it's very, very, like, it's tough, and there's not many options. You're like in a AA perspective, if I speak in US dollar, for instance, like the lowest you can go might be $39.99 and the highest would be $59.99. That's the range. And after that, if you exceed that, like, you will be compared to a big AAA and you will be in trouble. So there's sweet spots.
So you place in the middle. And in terms of you said the biz dev, obviously in the historic, you have all the, you pay for the game, for the CD. Now, obviously, you download the games. But from the right arrivals with League of Legends, the free-to-play games with monetization, with super microtransaction for $3, $4, change a little bit, almost huge industry change. That a biz dev, very changing industry. So, do you have any consideration, point of view that how you develop a games considering biz dev, or go biz dev through a game, or how the biz dev can change how you create games? Do you get the question, right?
Yeah.
When
I believe. Sorry.
No,
Go ahead.
Go first.
No, please.
Well, in terms of that, well, starting for thinking about to make some kind of free-to-play, and so you have to know the market, you know? If I want to go to Steam to compete in a free-to-play or something like that, there is too many games like MMOs and like bigger budgets. We can't do that. Like, we can think like any about it in terms of like microtransactions and so on. You have to be a really big company and established to work with that. So the best way that we found, like talking in my experience, was like searching for how we can produce, but with the quality that we want. So I think that was the way that we found to like collaborate with Japanese clients and so on, mostly, to show to them what is the best quality that we can provide. Of course, we are cheaper, but they don't like give about like. So I think for them the quality is the most important thing because they want what they see every day. So and to reach that point, like you have to discuss with the exact people and have the like a really good portfolio to show to them. So that is like our way to do like BizDev, like showing to them that we are like capable of to make the exact things that they do on their own house.
I will add something because you exactly did that with me earlier today, talking about your projects, and I found it really really cool because what's smart about that guy, like he has a really precise vision of what a studio can do, and he tailors his presentation with those strengths. And for me, it speaks. Like I'm like, okay, he knows exactly where he wants to go. He's showing me a promise, basically, on what he can deliver. And that is the best angle, I think, doing BizDev. Because if you're showing me like a portfolio or something that is like here, there, this is a red flag.
Yeah.
Because they will be jack of all trades, but really not good at anything. I prefer a developer that will do, like Max, fighting games. And I know that if I want a fighting games, I can work with that guy. I will be, you know, I will be like, okay, things have a good chance to work. And same thing with you, with what you showed me today. I won't talk about it.
We have
really
lower
nice.
rates than Capcom, so yeah, you can reach us anytime. Right? No, for me, it's having the goal to find your own purpose as a company, to keep your values on top of the trend of the market. So you cannot pursue the unicorn in terms of looking for a big outcome regarding to a mobile game, for example. That is something that we don't know nothing about. You know, it's not my space. I don't care about that space either. You know, I don't like advertising during the playtime. So I go straightforward, premium PC console in the genre. You know, and eventually, if a title comes gets notice or it gets success, you will be having fans. Like imagine a metal band or a band, you know. You cannot go from like making a thrash metal album and then change your mood and then go to a jazz or even a reggaeton album after the first CD or the first album. You will kind of betray your audience.
I dare you to do it.
All right.
Oh, so many questions, so fun. If anyone want to go forward.
Yeah, we have one, I think.
And you have a question?
Yep.
Go.
I forgot about it. Let me take it up.
Improvise.
No. You guys mentioned about the rise of new genres in video games, and I immediately thought about like not about making new genres of video games, but on making new old games. So it was really about like I think 2 years ago that Space Marine 2 came out. Space Marine 2 being the sequel of course, Space Marine and that. And the game is actually like pretty much the same game, but like in nowadays standards. So there's about like a 10-year gap between Space Marine and Space Marine 2. And I believe that it made it make like a really good game and a different, different game because it was the exact same game 10 years ago brought to the standards of nowadays. And maybe we can compare it to other video games, like for example, because this is a much or less a beta video game, like for example God of War. And God of War nowadays is a really different game compared to the first God of War. So maybe, I don't know if you maybe thought of that, or what's your opinion on bringing old games to exactly the same, but as a new standard with the new technologies of today? I don't know.
Well, I think there's a lot of studios that are doing that right now, and it's a good recipe. Like for old school, I might say like 16-bit era, you have the publisher called .emu, and they brought Ninja Gaiden recently. There's like Street of Rage. I think there's a lot of companies that are doing exactly what you're saying, and it works. It works really well. And speaking about Space Marine, like I know the old team, and I know the team of Space Marine 2 at Saber. It's really funny when it's 10 years separate, and yeah, they took a really good concept, modernized it, and they added multiplayer. That's pretty much what they've done, and yeah, it works. I think it's a very good way to de-risk again a project. We were mentioning like remakes. Remakes is not the same thing as you say, though. What you're saying is creating something new from the basis of something that was released, I don't know, 10, 20 years ago even. And I think it's a good way. Like even, I will speak for myself, for Hell Is Us, we took a lot of concepts from really old school games, like all the exploration, how we deal with it. It comes from very, very old game design paradigms that I used to love back in the days, that I brought it back. And I think it's a wonderful way.
I believe Clair Obscur did the same thing.
Clair Obscur, they did exactly the same thing. Yeah. Turn-based, they went super straight, like Final Fantasy VII.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the key to doing that in a successful way is I think there's a studio that it's like their motto. They call it like making games the way, not the way they were, but the way you remember them.
Absolutely.
Playing. It's like because right now there's so much. There's been so much advancement in terms of user experience and usability and controls and quality of life features that you cannot take for granted. You have to apply that, but reduce friction and bring an experience that felt classic and memorable, and nostalgia, of course, is a really big factor. It's like a really good mix.
Yeah, mostly like to use IPs. I think Dotemu does really well. Like teenage.
It's their business model.
Yeah,
They nail
pretty
it.
much.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And most of probably of avoiding the risk that you mentioned and everything is around the community and the brand
Always.
of the IP. So the next question is about that, and not it's not a rocket science. It's so difficult, but I want to listen what you're saying. Each one is, and how to build a community around a video game.
I can start.
Sorry, what was it?
How do you build a community for a video game, basically? So, first of all, you need to ignite the first flame of the fire. You need to find an angle that will reach out to the targeted community. So basically, you need to know the focus, the target for your game. You need to know the target audience, and you will do your first push towards that target. Might it be like, I don't know, the marketing, or you're gonna do like, I don't know, maybe like a little bit a research group. You will find some pre-alpha testers to just ignite that and build your community out of that very small group, and then it will grow. I think it's one of the best way correlated with, if you can have advertisement or having, I don't know, again, exposure through a specific show during Gamescom or GDC. It's just to start that fire, you need to be laser focused. And then it will, you need to feed the fire. You need to put gas on it, whatever.
Yeah, I will say it depends entirely on the mood of the game and the size of the game. Because an indie solo dev can explode, in sales if one or maybe YouTubers grab that game.
Goes viral.
And goes viral, and who knows where it ends, Safe bets, with big bucks in terms of the developing costs. I would say that it is a major risk and major focus on doing the proper, building the proper audience for a specific game. So I believe it's giving and receiving feedback, and from time to time doing your open demos and receive honest feedback. That helps us a lot, in improving things for the game.
And I will add something. Once you start, never stop. Yeah. Once you start the fire, you need to feed it until you ship. If you stop, you have a blackout, and you need to start everything again.
You want to say something?
No, I just was thinking about how difficult it is to build something from scratch. And one of the ways that you can explore that challenge is by finding a certain segment or an unattended group of, I don't know, followers of a certain genre that is long dead for too many years, or an abandoned franchise that everybody's rooting for a sequel or something. Maybe it's like that first ignition, so that you don't have to build something from absolute zero, because it's super daunting.
In terms of community, I work as I said in Riot, and most of my job was how can I increase and make the community bigger, because I wasn't a developer, wasn't the artist, I was in the marketing team, and that was my best expertise. The key thing that we always say is player first. Whatever you do, players first. Second, it's be genuine. And if you have a lore, you have everything that you have to be super focused and be genuine about how you speak with your community, and they must be. And so you have to build a trust and relationship with them. You are not able to failure, because if you fail one or just stop the message or whatever, is for the community is a failure. Yep. And important, but super hard to build, because when you are starting a new game, you don't have any budget, you're just starting from scratch. But making events, so you can have a period kind of event that it doesn't matter if online or just physical or not, but you have different kind of content that it's making bigger the game. With event, you are growing the community. And for Riot is, I think, everything for that. So, and thank you for the questions and then the answers.
Can I add something?
Yes, sorry.
No worries. I think for that is also that you were telling for the community is not to make promises that you can't accomplish, because that it can crash a game in every piece that I think for that, and some developers can sell a lot of smoke, but then and the community noticed that, for example, in Kickstarter happens a lot. It was a time that a lot of MMOs was funded and financed by Kickstarter, and it was all a lie. And then for the community, the gaming community is to start to can I trust in this guy because he's going to do like something really like, oh, I can enjoy that game, but as you like saw a lot of guys that have been scamming people, it's kind of difficult. So for me, it's the best reason not to make promises that you cannot accomplish.
Absolutely. And you made me think about something that I used back in the days for Mordheim, City of the Damned. We used the early access, mechanism from Steam. Actually, Mordheim was one of the most successful early access back then. I did a few panels with the guys that did Darkest Dungeons as well. And it's a recipe to perfect your game, but it's also a mean to build a community. If done right, early access can be tremendously good to build a community because you get people involved in creating the game. And if you have a really good roadmap with beats that are making sense and the community are like, oh my God, they are taking my ideas, they're listening to me, this is amazing. And they love that, and your community will grow a lot if you use that. But early access, sadly, I think lately it's been used by developers that are lacking money. They cannot finish a game. They put it on early access because they hope to drive money to finish the game. But this is not the way to use it. It's the worst thing you can do. Don't touch that. Don't do it. It's not the mean. The mean is to build slowly but surely a game, build a community, and have a great game. It's not a lifesaver thing.
And now I would change a little bit the topic. Building a game studio is super hard, and you know that, but also hiring. And hiring and top talent is super difficult. So probably most of the people here is wondering, how can I enter in a video game company? Some guys when you're in your speech asking what about working in Canada. But even though that for the studio here in Chile or you there in Canada, when you're working for a completely new IP, super secret, no one's know. So one of your feedback was, hey, if you want to enter Blizzard, no, Diablo 3, go there, but it's a super known IP. So probably you can get a book with super fancy characters from Diablo and IP world. So probably could be easy to hire someone going that. But if you're a completely unknown IP, smaller, and you need to hire someone that is good for something, but how you pick it, what do you see, and most of the time, or probably you in different kind of disciplines, not always the best, almost the hard skills are the best, and because if for drawing not. Just a question, not because the guy the best guy drawing is the best fit for your company, and so how you hire, and what can you give any recommendation, feedback for this guy that are listening to us that is willing to get into a video game company probably?
I can start. So we're around 60 people, and we will grow, I think, in the next few months. Our hiring process has changed over the last 10 years, whatever. And you're mentioning hard skills versus soft skills. What I'm looking at, I'm like the captain of a pirate ship. So I'm looking at the best talent, but also the best fit. And I think nowadays, I would prefer to have someone with the right attitude, the right fit for my company, maybe that is not as top level, top tier talent, but the attitude is there, will go further than having someone who's like super experienced, but his attitude is not good. This is a lesson I learned, and I pick my employees, like when I do interviews, be nice. Be nice human beings in the interview. Show that you are passionate. And the best tip I can give you, do your own research on the company you are applying on. Go watch interviews that I've done. You can find me on YouTube or whatever. Just try to connect with the person you will be making the interview and the values of the company. So you go there and you will, first of all, you will know if you fit with the company. Don't go to a company that you don't fit with. Like, first of all, don't do that.
Yeah, it sounds really like reasonable, but at the end of the day, you need to do the reverse engineering. I mentioned that before,
100%.
you know. The guy who is looking for the perfect job is the perfect job for him, not for the company. So, for example, in my case, it might sound cheesy, but I need to admire every single one of my people. You know, we have a really flat environment at the studio. You know, so everyone can jump in and say anything regarding to the development. You know, and the skills that we're looking for also, you know, you need to be very specific on, for example, the animations for a fighting game. They are totally different that any other video games around. So talent is a key, but I also prefer like having the good guys who are willing to put the egos besides and focus entirely on the purpose of the company.
Yeah, another thing, like for me, is to have, well, as Yves said, the best attitude. Because, like, for me, the most important thing is to have a good environment to work. And if you get the guy that is like really an expert on something and he, like, everyone hates him, like, in besides, it's impossible to work it.
That's the worst.
So, for me, I prefer to, like, maybe spend more time training them, but they are like open to know more about it. And maybe that guy that is very an expert doesn't want to like know more about it. For him, maybe it's like enough.
You are so right.
Yeah, you can learn hard skills anytime. It will take time, but soft skills, it's something that it's really hard to
Cultural
change
fit.
that part, claro. And the other thing is that, as you guys said, try to figure out the culture of the studio. It's not like, oh, this studio is better than the other one. We're just different, and the kind of games we make are different. The processes we apply are different. So find your compatibility. Ask questions when you go to an interview. It's not like a one-way questions and answers. It's like a two-way conversation. Make the most of that opportunity. Of course, do your homework, but ask as much as you can.
And just to complement and ask your question about, question yourself about the role that you will apply. And just for example, I was surprised that in early days in Riot that we were hiring, for example, for job description for a business development guy to increase monetization for from League of Legends players. I interviewed a guy, super brain power, awesome, but when I asked him how they will increase in revenue in the image tree alternative, he didn't know even how Riot makes money. So do your own homework.
Ouch.
Oh, yeah. Do your own homework. If you want to apply for any role, and make yourself what kind of question the other guys will do for you. Learn, apply. Cultural fit is super incredible. And as you also said, hard skills can be learned. And for us, it's much more important and higher and brain power with potential. And that rather than a super experienced guy, and it's much more better and for the cultural fit. Any guys from the audience want to have a question, please?
Hello, hi. I wanted to ask a question maybe a little out of topic in terms of industry, but it is really important for me to ask this, and it's what is your approach to the cultural side of the video games that you develop? because for me as a game designer, I really like the game studies, the message, the stories, that area of the game that sticks with the player even more than the fun or the mechanics. And I wanted to ask you, what is your approach on that? I mean, it's something that you lead to the narrative team, or it's something that you think about it even when the idea of the game starts?
Yeah, for our new fighting game, we tried to do the most stupid, silly, hilarious story that we could ever made. So it was the total opposite side of Omen of Sorrow. So yeah, it's a matter of the mood, and as I always like have these band examples, but you can have like a blueprint of an album of a band, of what was the band in that period of time. For a video game, I would say that it has some similarities there, you know, and it depends. It depends how the company is evolving and in what type of genres the company wants to get in, you know. For example, for us, we are like pitching a survival horror now with dinosaurs, and it has nothing to do with fighting games. And there is also a really like more serious narrative inside that game than in Daybreak Slam, you know. But yeah, it depends, you know.
Yeah, in our case, since we are, I mean, talking about finding your goal or your vision as a studio, your strategy, we decided to focus on RPG games, games that really dive deep into the stories and the world building. It's a huge part of what we do, and the feedback that we get is that is one of the best aspects of our games: world building, the art. So I would say that in our case, of course, game direction is really important because it helps you keep everything in line, to align all the aspects of the game. But of course, all the aspects of the game have to be imbued with that vision. The art, even the mechanics, even the UI, the controls, everything has to speak the same language. And that is really tough. It's really tough because everybody in a team has a different view. You can, as a creative director or leader, you can try to communicate or bring everybody on board with your own idea, but I think that you cannot avoid that the mental image of the game that you are making, when it's still not made, it's very different. I mean, everybody has a different idea of what your guys are making. But I think there's a balance in guiding the contributions of all the different parts of your team to make something new that is not like the exact vision of the direction, but that is faithful to the expressive goals, your like general vision. I mean, what I'm trying to say, the end result is going to be quite different to what you set out to make, but this vision has to be shared, but at the same time, the final product will be the product of everybody and their own interpretation of that vision. And the creative direction has the task to lead and to integrate those visions into something coherent. I don't know if it makes sense. Yeah.
You have a question?
I had a question in correlation with new genres and pricing. What do you think about this search in co-op games. They are $5 and in that price range, like Little Company, Repo, that kind of game. And if you think that is the future of indie games, like they attract a lot of people, a lot of traction in Instagram, with YouTubers and so on. So I wanted to ask what you think about those kinds of games and the future of indie games in that view.
Multiplayer is always a mess. Like, to do a multiplayer game, you
It's
have
hard.
to think like, man, even doing like local multiplayer is a mess. So like thinking about how they do like Lethal Company, Peak, and so on, is not games that they do like as a first title. They fail a lot, like before, to get there. For example, the guys from Peak, they've been like working on their community for years and years ago. So yeah, it can go viral, but like working on that and preparing that, it costs a lot of money. Like yeah, the game for the people can cost $5, but it's not like that's the similar is going to like cost in terms of development.
Yeah, I also believe that we always see the shiny part of the successes and the unicorns that are around the indie atmosphere and not the huge failures that also the indie spectrum has. So, as a serious, maybe company development company that we are, we need to be very careful and look at that type of games as a path to go. Yeah.
Hi, everyone. Well, I want to ask you about the previous topic about the different resources in your different companies. How to say is you have provide some kind of support when you're growing up the different resources, the different people in your how to manage to do that, or is how to balance between that and take new resources, new people on your teams. What is your criteria in your different companies to take a new talent versus provide support to the growing up the previous one or you have in your teams?
Do you mean like
Sorry, I don't know. Yeah. What's the balance between you taking new versus to provide the resources to improve your resources in your company?
Yeah, it's a tough one. I think it's a tough one because it depends on. I think it depends. It is one of those questions that depends because it depends on what your vision of a company is. For example, if your vision is to build a large team and to work with these guys like for your whole life and like for generations, that is a very different approach to a more like agency approach in which you're like producing each title with a different team, maybe changing I don't know, art style or genres, because I think both of them are valid. I think they can work better or worse depending on who is executing them. But I mean, as a general rule, I would say that you have to try to keep and improve and your base DNA, yeah, and find your DNA. There's like a natural selection as well that happens because you as a company you are learning about yourself as well over time. You're learning what works and what doesn't, and when you realize that, you start to understand what you need in terms of talent for your next goals, for your long-term strategy. So I think it's really hard to know that in advance, like from the very beginning. That would be great. That would be great. It would save you so much time.
I would just add that I will speak for myself and Rogue Factor, but I think if you have a very specific goal for your studio and you have a clear vision where you want to go, you assemble a team that you want to keep forever. Like, I have people that I have been working with for the last 20 years. Like, basically, 4 people of my first company that I founded in 2002 are still with me today. And we have a really low turnover rate at Rogue Factor. Usually, people that will leave the company, they will leave in the first 3 months if it's not working. If they like the company and they stay for long, like, they remain in the company. And I invest in, it's my pirate ship. I want to have the best crew and I want to keep my crew because it's one of the things that when a team that work together and work for a long time is much more efficient than a team that you always change, toss around. It's really, it's basic logic, basically, because your velocity will always increase when you can almost read the minds of your colleagues. It's true. I think nothing beats that. But if you need to change, you need to hire new people. Again, it's all about the attitude, the fit, and everything else. But I'm a true believer that, having a strong team that remains together and that moves to projects without breaking, the proficiencies between people, the synergy between people, that's the best way to go.
And one of the key success of any company, not even in video games, are the team. And in terms of if you match with in soccer teams, you may have rock stars, but sometimes they don't win matches because they don't play together, they don't know each other much. And if you have the vision like if they have a boutique studio, they are 50 guys, and you can plan with that, every time that you think that you can add one person, it's not only add one person that the cost of the salary. It's a lot of managing time, resourcing, and infrastructure. So people is super escalating in terms of cost, and it's amazing the time that you waste managing people. So and I think that and obviously in us working everybody is hungry to have big companies, but sometimes have a lean team, super lean team, tactical guys, super strategic, is good enough to be super happy working in something that you love. And that's almost the example of Yves, and I'm super much of what you have done.
Thank you.
So
I like to say it's lean, but it's all muscle.
So that's all for today, guys. Thank you very much for the panel. It's been awesome listening to you and sharing your stories, working here with and sharing your work with and all the audience that we have today. It's been an honor for me and you guys and the audience being in our home in Movistar GameClub that we built from scratch, obviously, as you have. This is almost the house for the industry to develop. If you have new games, you can just try here. If you want to have demo tests, this is the best place where everybody can test, prove, and check if something goes good or not. This is our best demo play. So thank you a lot for being here again. Thank you guys for stay for the whole day. So thank you very much. Danny, yes, be ahead.
Yes, so thank you so much, everybody. Parece que el nivel de inglés ha estado bueno por el día de hoy, pero ha llegado el momento de despedirse en español de Epic Win 2025. Recuerden que mañana se viene una última jornada, así que los esperamos para conectarse en el canal de Twitch de Movistar Game Club a la misma hora, mismo canal. Soy Dani Cachilupi y nos vemos mañana. Chao.